Fantasy has an intimidation problem. People think it's complicated, dense, overwhelming. But the truth is, fantasy isn't hard. Most people just start in the wrong place. There's a strange myth about fantasy that it's difficult, that it's dense, confusing, full of maps you have to study like you're about to invade France. That you need to learn 17 kingdoms, 9 religions, 12 magic systems, a fictional tax policy, just to understand Chapter 1. And if you don't start reading fantasy when you're 12, sitting on your bedroom floor while ignoring homework and pretending your life is way more interesting than it actually is, well, you've missed the chance, apparently. Apparently, fantasy is a closed door, but it isn't. Fantasy isn't one thing. Fantasy is thousands of different doorways. Some are gentle, some are dark, some are strange, some are confronting, some are brutal. And some are exactly what you need at exactly the right moment in your life. And if you ever wanted to start fantasy or come back to it, these are the books I think are the perfect place to begin. Not because they're simple, but because they remind you why fantasy exists in the first place. Not to confuse you, but to make you feel something. I'm Darth James, welcome to this episode. Remember to like, subscribe, and tell me what you think in the comments below. Hype this video if you can, and if you want to help keep the lights on for more random videos like this, remember to check out Patreon, Substack, channel memberships, or buy me a coffee on Ko-fi. So let's start, shall we? Hi. The first book I picked is Eragon by Christopher Paolini, because Eragon is honest. It doesn't pretend to be anything other than what it is. Yes, it's predictable. Yes, it's Star Wars with dragons. Farm boy discovers mystical object thingy. Farm boy discovers he's special. Farm boy goes on a journey. Farm boy meets mentor. Mentor dies. Farm boy must grow up quickly. You know where it's going. We all know where it's going, and that's exactly why it works. Because predictability isn't always weakness. Sometimes predictability is comfort. Sometimes you don't want to be shocked. Sometimes you just want to enjoy something. You want to watch the hero leave home and become something more. Paolini wrote Eragon when he was a teenager, and you can feel that in the best possible way. There's no cynicism here. No attempt to deconstruct fantasy. No attempt to be clever for the sake of cleverness. If you love fantasy and that, oh, it's infectious. You can feel his love of fantasy in this book. Reminds you that fantasy doesn't need to be complicated to matter. It just needs to make you care, and Eragon helps. And dragons help massively, because dragons are cool, and I don't care what anyone says. I want a dragon. Okay, then there's the His Dark Materials trilogy by Philip Pullman. And this is one of those fantasy series that starts to reveal its real power as you get older, because when you read these books as a kid, they're adventure, armoured bears, witches, parallel worlds, danger, mystery. It's full of magic. But when you read them as an adult, you realise something else entirely. These books are devastating. They're about death. They're about consequences. They're about the human soul. They're about free will. They're about what it means to exist at all. Pullman does something very dangerous. He respects the reader. He doesn't simplify the idea. He doesn't talk down to you. He lets the fantasy carry the philosophy, so to speak. And somehow it never feels heavy. It still feels like an adventure. That's the magic trick of this type of fantasy. It can smuggle existential dread into a story about talking animals and make it feel natural. You don't realise how deep it goes until later. Till you're older. Until you've lived a bit more. Until the questions in the book start to feel frighteningly personal. Then we have The Price of Power by Michael Michel. This is where fantasy stops being comfortable. This is where fantasy reminds you that fantasy doesn't fix people, it exposes them. This is dark fantasy, but not dark for the sake of shock value, but dark because power changes people. It's corruption themes, it's isolation, it reveals who they really are. Fantasy has always been about power, kings, queens, gods, magic. But the best fantasy asks harder questions. Not what power can do, but what power costs. Because there's always a cost, and fantasy lets us explore that very safely, at a distance, through characters who make choices we hope we would never make, but secretly understand. Then there is the Black Bane by Alliance. This is a different kind of fantasy. This is the kind where nobody is fully trustworthy, where everyone wants something, where motivations are layered, complicated, and human. Fantasy often gets dismissed as simple, good versus evil, light versus dark, but some of the best fantasy lives in that grey area, because people live in that grey area. This is fantasy that doesn't hold your hand. It lets you sit in this bizarre uncertainty, and that uncertainty is powerful because it reflects reality. In real life, we rarely know who the heroes are. Sometimes we don't even know if we are the heroes. And then there's Robert E. Howard, one of the grandfathers of fantasy, the creator of Conan. And Conan is important for one simple reason. He reminds us that fantasy doesn't need to be massive to matter. His stories are short, fast, violent, direct. There's no complicated lore to memorize, no 50,000 page prologues explaining the economy structure of a fictional empire, just adventure, survival, and movement. Conan exists in a brutal world, and he survives through sheer will. These stories help shape fantasy as we know it. They strip it down to its core elements: danger, mystery, and the unknown. Fantasy doesn't need complexity to work, it just needs possibilities. Like I said, fantasy has an intimidation problem. Not because fantasy is difficult, but because fantasy is large, it's vast. We see massive series, 10 books, 14 books, maps, appendices, glossaries, and it all feels like commitment. It feels like work, and reading should never feel like work. Fantasy should feel like discovery, and the truth is, fantasy contains every kind of story imaginable: simple, complex, dark, hopeful, quiet, violent. Fantasy isn't a genre, it's a setting, it's a lens. It's the way of exploring human experiences through impossible worlds. Fantasy exists because, well, reality isn't enough sometimes. Reality is bills, work, stress, exhaustion, routine. Fantasy is possibilities. It asks the simple questions. What if? What if there was more? What if the world was stranger or stronger or darker? What if you were capable of more than you realize? Fantasy doesn't exist to help us escape reality, it exists to help us understand it. Because when you strip away the dragons and the magic and the kingdoms, fantasy is about people: fear, hope, power, loss, identity. Fantasy just gives those emotions a very large stage. The truth is, there is no correct place to start fantasy. There's only the place you feel right. Maybe it's dragons, maybe it's dark fantasies, maybe it's philosophy, maybe it's short, brutal adventures. Fantasy isn't a test. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to know where to begin, because once you find the right fantasy books, something shifts, and you remember what reading felt like before it became a productivity exercise, before it became goals, because fantasy should never be productivity or goals. Fantasy reminds you that reading can still feel like wonder. Fantasy isn't difficult. Fantasy is patient. It waits. It waits until you're ready, until you find the right story, until you open that door. When you do, it reminds you that the world has always been bigger than you thought. You just needed permission to see it.